Through this next series of videos, there's 5 total, we're going to take a look at the sin of pride. Stick with this series, because by the end, you're going to learn some significant lessons about the sin of pride and just how serious it is. So, why is the sin of pride the sin of sins? It was this sin, we're told, which transformed Lucifer, an anointed cherub of God, the very seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty, into Satan, the devil, the father of lies, whom hell itself was created according to Ezekiel 28:12, John 8:44, and Matthew 25:41. We are warned to guard our hearts against pride, lest we too fall into the same condemnation as the devil. See 1 Timothy 3:6. It was the sin of pride which first led Eve to eat the forbidden fruit. In Genesis we read, quote, "Then the serpent said to the woman, 'You shall not surely die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.' So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate." Quote. See Genesis 3:4-6. And who do you think was the serpent of old who introduced Eve to this sin of pride? It was none other than the devil himself, eager to share his condemnation with others. See Revelation 12:9 and 20 verse 2. St. Augustine of Hippo, 354-430 AD, wrote, quote, "Pride is the commencement of all sin, because it was this which overthrew the devil, from whom arose the origin of sin, and afterwards, when his malice and envy pursued men, who was yet standing in his uprightness, it subverted him in the same way in which he himself fell. For the serpent, in fact, only sought for the door of pride whereby to enter when he said, 'Ye shall be as gods.'" Quote. The sin of pride is a preoccupation with self. It is thus very fitting that the middle letter in the word is I. Pride is all about me, myself, and I. So even as the word pride is centered upon an I, the sin itself is also centered upon I. We read of Lucifer's fall, quote, "How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning! How you are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations! For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the further sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit." Quote. See Isaiah 14:12-15. Satan's enmity against God began with I. And so it is with us. If you are preoccupied with yourself, you are suffering from the sin of pride. One way to determine whether or not you are preoccupied with yourself is to evaluate your motives. Take the pursuit of knowledge, for example. If you study hard and you're doing what you believe the Lord wants you to do, and you're doing it in obedience to Him, well, that's good. That is obedience. If you study hard because you want to become a teacher so that you can edify others and help them grow, that's also good. That's love for others. But if you study hard solely to amass knowledge for yourself, so you can say that you know more than everyone else, well, that's not good. Your focus is upon yourself and your own glory. That's preoccupation with self, and that's pride. And if this is the case for you, not only are you suffering from pride, you're setting yourself up to be totally consumed by it. The Apostle Paul wasn't joking when he said, "Knowledge puffs up, but love edifies," according to 1 Corinthians 8:1b. Anyone who has ever been there will tell you, knowledge for the wrong reasons, i.e. personal glory, will lead to a proud heart and enmity against God. The sin of pride is rightfully distinguished as the foremost among the 7 deadly sins, each of the 7 equally as deadly, according to Proverbs 6:16-19. But none quite as notorious as this sin of the devil. We're going to look at this sin of sins, how it manifests itself in our thoughts and lives, what are its effects, and how we are to fight against it taking hold in our hearts. We'll begin by looking at 2 people in history that committed the sin of pride and how they're portrayed in the Bible. We'll look at how pride manifested itself in their lives, and we'll make some practical observations. Then, we'll look at how pride can affect our own hearts and minds, and finally, we'll discuss how to combat the sin of pride with humility. Stick with the entire series of videos. You will learn from them and be equipped to combat pride head-on.